How's it going? Welcome to Trades and Grades podcast. I'm your host, Noah Wright. Alongside me is Camden Gongler and Caleb Nemi. We're doing a little winners and losers from Week 9 in the NFL season. We are halfway through the regular NFL season.
Before you start, I would just like to say there is one major winner this last week and a half. Noah Wright got married, so big winner there.
This is true.
Big
Yes.
loser, Camden, the only one in the group who is not married and who is also single. So if you know anyone, holler at your boy. But
Any ladies listening to this podcast?
Noah Wright is a big winner this week. So,
but if you like George Pickens, you're out. Camden, that's the only.
He's a big winner too, actually. Gotta get Claypool out of here.
True. Yeah, no more Chase Claypool. He's going to the Bears.
Chase Claypool had to draft his replacement. Isn't that kind of funny? He had to go up there and say, with whatever pick, they pick Pickens, and then he got traded. Oops.
I did think that's kind of funny. Didn't even think about that, but now looking back, that's kind of tough for him. But yeah, winners and losers. We're over halfway for the fantasy season. Probably have 5 weeks left if you're in a normal league. Probably week 14 is the last week of the regular season, then 15, 16, 17, and obviously 18 you're gonna be done before then, just because how that works. Yeah, if you run your leagues correctly. But yeah, so it's kind of getting down to crunch time, but probably 5 weeks left, and you're looking to make some last adjustments before your trade deadline in a couple weeks, if that's coming up. And yeah, if you are 2-7 or 3-6 or 0-9, that's it's a tough year for you. I don't know what to say. That's the injuries have been.
Hopefully you have your own pick. That's what I'll say.
Yes. Yeah. No. If you, especially, and
a couple people in our home league who I may or may not have as of right now 3 of 4 of the first 5-6 picks, but
this is true.
I feel bad for the one guy in our league. He's probably going to get second to last. I have his 2023 and his 2024 and his 2024 second. I think someone else has his 2023 second, so he is in a lot of trouble.
At Bates?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I mean, we can put him out there. I don't think he's going to.
He did pick up a 2024 first today, though, so good for him.
I know, and then he tried to give it away, but I digress. But before we get too far into it, guys, if you're listening to this, please leave a review. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Helps us keep us going with this. And so, without further ado, let's get into some winners from this past week. Joe Mixon. What a week for Joe Mixon. 55.1 points,
beautiful.
153 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns.
It's kind of bullcrap, though. Freaking Joe Burrow stealing that 1-yard quarterback sneak touchdown. We could have had 6.
Could have had it.
As someone in my work league, that's probably the league I have the most money in, and I think right now I have around a 52% chance of making the playoffs. My team put up 144, and Mixon put up 55 of those this week. So he single-handedly is just out here carrying my team. Shout out Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable week. I mean, if you are looking at him, and even if you're a contender in the Dynasty League, I'm looking to sell him at this point, even though
I think it's a lot of inside the 3-yard line carries. I feel like I watch him every week.
Yeah,
there's a lot of carries inside the goal line.
And here's the deal, and I'll let Caleb talk here in a second about how his week went. But when I think about selling, high-end running backs, especially in Dynasty, something like a J.K. Dobbins plus a first for Joe Mixon is something like a deal I'm trying to make, where you downgrade a little bit, but you get a couple extra years back. And now if you're a contender, obviously you're going to want someone who's going to be serviceable. So J.K. this year might not be the one you're going for, but those are the types of trades I'm looking to make.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't know how many people. I don't know. I don't even know if you could probably get a first on top of J.K. Dobbins to trade up to Joe Mixon. Depends on your league, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, glad to be back with you guys. Excited to get this rolling. No, we missed you last week. I guess we didn't record, but
yeah.
Glad you're married.
And Camden.
Andy was in Cabo, and
I think, right? Was it Cabo?
Yep.
Look at that. He just got like that glisten. You just see it's like the first month of marriage glisten on him. So
he lost in November very quickly. I will just
LOL for sure.
He owes me a lot of dollars right now.
It's okay. It wears off eventually. Enjoy it, Noah, while you have it. You know.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, no, it was a good time. Very sunny down there. Weather was great.
Noah caught a lot of flack at the wedding, I will say, for fantasy football. There was a lot of comments made about Noah's passion for fantasy football.
Yeah. No, I mean, warranted. If you're in a league with me, I'm sure that I bothered you.
One of the most impressive thing all weekend I experienced was in our redraft, like college league. Someone asked Noah, "Hey, can you list my starting lineup?" And he listed it off, and I was like, "Man, that's impressive. Now do mine." And then he listed my entire starting lineup off. So Noah can list everyone's starting lineup in our redraft home league, one of several that he's in. So if there's any questions about his football knowledge and stuff and how often he looks at it, I would challenge someone to memorize a person in your leagues, every single person's starting lineup, and then get back to me because Noah can do it. Has done it actually.
Yeah, no, and I didn't even think about it really until they it was just kind of spontaneous thing. They're like what's my starting lineup? And then I was like, okay, and I listed every single one off. And the next guy, and it's all like people that were in my wedding because it's like who's in our home league, and so it's just like all our buddies, and it's like I got McQuaid's asking me, who's my starting lineup? Caleb's asking me, or Leek's asking me, like, who's my starting lineup? And I don't know. I spend so much time looking at everyone's teams, trying to figure out how to make trades, like all the time. It just never stops because your team can never be good enough. Like, it's just not possible. I've never been in a scenario in which I was like, okay, I'm done trading because my team's good enough. Like, there's always moves to make. And so coincidentally, I now have our entire league memorized on whose team. So yeah, it's a fun party trick, I guess. I don't know if I bring that up personally, but yeah, I guess my dedication to the grind of fantasy football cannot be
unmatched.
No, yeah. So yeah, Caleb, how are you valuing? So Joe Mixon had a great week, but really the pass catchers, especially T. Higgins, I feel like he's been kind of I wouldn't say faltering. He had a fine week. He's had a couple weeks in a row where he's in the mid-teens. Jamar Chase out, but it's not exactly what we're looking for. You think there's a possible buy window for T. Higgins at all? You think any owners are kind of upset with his production lately?
Yeah, no, I think I actually in a league I just saw him get traded. I'm trying to remember what it was for, but it was for like a middling wide receiver. I think it was almost like a Garrett Wilson and then maybe like a backup running back piece to get T. Higgins, which I think in like a redraft league would be. I mean, we're talking redraft, so that would be a good trade to make if you can make that. But I mean, if I'm holding T. Higgins, I have him in a lot of leagues. Like, he's getting the target share that we all want, just not converting. And I mean, last week Joe Mixon stole the show. So imagine it's just one of those touchdowns I got into T. Higgins. I think he had, was it 13 or 14 fantasy points last week?
Yeah.
One of them almost went to Tyler Boyd.
So
it stopped on the 1.
Mm.
It's a little. They were on the 4, a little 3-yard pass to Tyler Boyd. Luckily, Tyler Boyd was also on my team, so I was happy that week, no matter who scored.
Perfect.
Just someone on the Bengals needs to score.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. So if you can buy T. Higgins, I think he still has top 10 upside for wide receivers, but it just depends on what you can get him for. And if you have him, hold him, because he's going to – even when Jamar Chase was healthy, he was still producing at that top like wide receiver 1 level, so keep him.
Yeah. No, he's one of those guys where he's always been one of my guys I personally enjoy. I've had him on my dynasty team, and I like him a lot. And so speaking of guys that I like a lot, 2 winners. This is a little bonus package right here. Justin Fields and Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet is a guy that we touted all offseason. He's had a terrible beginning to the year. It's been brutal.
So going into this week, I have Cole Kmet in 3 of my dynasty leagues, and I may or may not have had a tight end out in almost every single one. Mark Andrews being out in 1, Kittle being on a bye. I forget who my other tight end was, but I played him in all 3 leagues and came in clutch.
He did. Yep. Justin Fields with the best game of his career so far, 42.7 points, 123 passing yards, but more importantly, broke the NFL rushing record, Michael Vick's record, of 173 rushing yards. He had 178, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. Cole Kmet had 22 points as a season.
Tight end too.
A bit. What's that?
Tight end too.
Yep. 5 receptions, 41 yards, and 2 touchdowns. All right. Basically a question for both players. Is this where they're going to break out and you see them, finishing the rest of the year? Or do you think this might be a one-off for either one? Camden, what do you think?
I think Mixon's doing better with Jamar Chase out. But I do like Mixon for the rest of the year. I feel like he's been really consistent, at least 16 every game. And I don't know. I just feel like he gets a lot of red zone carries, and the couple touchdown upside was just a matter it was a bomb waiting to happen. Maybe not 5, but I think he's only had 1 the most all year in a single game. So I like it. I don't know if breakout's the best word, but Kmet, I'm not all in on. Give it a couple. I like him. I think he has the upside, but give it a couple more games.
What about Fields? Do you think this is him taking a step forward, and now he's going to be a quarterback 1 the rest of the season?
He looked really good on that whatever night football game, primetime that was. He looked good last week.
Yeah.
Small sample size. I think Claypool helps. I'm interested to see what he looks like with Claypool. Because I do think the whole argument now, he doesn't have any weapons, is starting to go away a little bit. You have Claypool. Darnell Mooney's still pretty good. Kmet's a pretty good tight end. So I think he has weapons, and I think the excuses of he doesn't have any throw it to are starting to go away. And I mean, last week he proved he could do it. So also that pass interference call did not get called. Terrible call. I didn't watch the game live, but I saw that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. That one hurt as a Bears fan. Hurt a little bit. Helps the draft.
Doesn't hurt as much as being a Colts fan, I'll tell you that. We just heard Jeff Saturday. So don't talk to me about getting hurt on a football team. We're the laughing stock in the NFL. We have the most delusional owner in the NFL outside of maybe Dan Snyder. Shout out Dan. Who's going to sell the team. Yeah, I mean, what are we doing here? We hire a guy who has no college or NFL experience. I'm sure he's a good guy and wins in a lot of stuff, but you're not really setting yourself up for success when you have little experience in Sam Ellinger at quarterback, and not a single person on the roster has ever called a offensive play in the NFL before. Especially, can we talk about the 2 previous NFL head coaches on their roster and don't hire one of them as the interim coach? I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant about the Colts, but they. Oh,
yeah.
Good Lord.
That's
RIP anyone who has any Colts players at all. Pittman, dead. Jonathan Taylor, probably dead, honestly. Not a single person on the Colts is fantasy relevant anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah. Anyway, what do you I mean, it's important to talk about. It's an important fantasy thing to talk about. I agree. Jonathan Taylor with the injury, the offensive line's been terrible. But they bring in Jeff Saturday. He's an offensive line. He played in the NFL's offensive line, so I can see them going with that. But I'm worried about Pittman. But in terms of Fields and Kmet, how much do you trust Kmet as your starting tight end the rest of the year? And same with Fields.
Yeah. So first off, shout out to all of us this offseason for having Cole Kmet as one of our breakout players at one time, or undervalued tight ends, and we look like fools for the first 5 weeks of the season. Actually, more like last 8 weeks. Yeah. And then of course week 9.
He comes week I started him. Though.
He comes through, baby.
Yep.
So I'll be honest, I don't trust him. I mean, the tight end position, you're probably gonna have to start him because you probably drafted him as your tight end 1 because we told you to, and we drafted him as our tight end 1s, and we felt like fools.
Well, I mean, I have Kittle, but
okay, good for you, Camden. Good for you.
Yeah.
But so I don't think it's going to continue. I think the thing that we do have to look at with Justin Fields is even though he had this amazing fantasy football day, he only threw for 123 yards still. And he's been averaging 160, 170. So there's absolutely no way you're getting any points from his arm besides if he throws for touchdowns or if he runs for touchdowns or runs for yards. So once we start playing the teams that have the very solid, linebackers, and if he only gets 80 yards rushing, which to be fair, 80 yards rushing for a quarterback is very high. And so that's 8 points. But if he throws for 100 yards on top of that, that's only 4 points.
Yeah.
So you're
that's 12
it's hard. It's hard. I think he's an upper tier QB2 for the rest of season, but that almost makes him a QB1. You have to start him because so much of the back end QB ones are either hurt or underperforming. Now, I will say this for Dynasty. I saw a trade 3 weeks ago that went through for Justin Fields, a 2024 first for Justin Fields. I feel like in a super flex league, I feel like that looks like stealing now. At the time, I thought, oh my gosh, the guy who got the 24 first for Fields, like stealing, money from a baby. Or I guess that's not the same. It's like stealing candy from a baby.
Money from a baby? That baby has a job. That baby
He's got
goes
a
to
job.
work and
Baby boss, baby.
Boss baby.
Boss baby. But no, I just think that's also really, really like when you look back at dynasty trades, like how even like 3 weeks ago things can change so fast. So I'm excited for Justin.
Who would you rather start in like a redraft league this next week, Herbert or Justin Fields?
Herbert.
I would
start with the struggles.
It's just that you're just banking on what you've seen before.
I mean, he's no doubt a better quarterback, but
that's a good. No, I like that question. I would start Fields because
there's a guy in one of my leagues who has both of them, and he's starting Fields over Herbert this next week, and I'm not sure I hate it. Like I feel like they're pretty even. That'd be a hard call. I feel like
he's got literally no one to throw to. I mean, just
Herbert. I know he's throwing Joshua Palmer. His offensive line is terrible.
Yes.
He's hurt, so like he's not running it as much as he has historically. Like,
yeah, it's tough.
So where do we have Fields rest of the season? So like, of course, so we have. I mean, assuming Josh Allen's healthy, we have Josh Allen,
Jalen Hurts 2,
Pat Mahomes, or I guess Jalen Hurts
2.
Okay, Pat Mahomes 3, Lamar, and then this is where it gets interesting. So are we taking Justin Fields ahead of Justin Herbert rest of the season? Because I feel like that's the argument right there.
I mean, rest of the season is tough because we don't know when Keenan's coming back and Mike Williams comes back, right? That's the biggest thing. When they're back, then Justin Herbert is probably superior in terms of fantasy production. But to me, it's right now, I would say you're probably, which sounds kind of crazy, but you're probably going with Fields because you know a situation and there's not as many unknowns. The big one, I think, is Kyler Murray.
Or Joe Burrow. I think
Joe Burrow. I think he's not quite there yet. I think that he could be, but I won't like put him up there. So yeah, you're looking at quarterback like 8, 9, 10 probably. And I mean, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm trying to think of any other quarterbacks that I want. I mean, you don't want Tom Brady. You don't want Russell Wilson. You don't want Aaron Rodgers this year. They're all been playing
Stafford, Dak.
Yeah. Kirk, no. Dax. Fine.
Tua. I mean, honestly, I might.
Tua's. Those are close. But yeah, let's take a time. We'll have to move on. But that is an interesting.
Give me Baker
question.
Mayfield.
Yes, give me Baker. Is he playing this week? I don't know.
On the practice squad.
I hope he does.
It's a line.
Yeah.
I want to laugh some more.
Last winner. Davante Adams, 36.6 points, 17 targets, 10 receptions, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't know. It's what a weird flip from the week before, right? 1 point something points to now have 36 points. How confident are you in this Raiders offense? I mean, they just blew another lead to the Jaguars. They are getting Darren Waller back sometime soon, so they'll be in the targets a little bit. Right now, it's pretty much just Davante Adams. Are you worried at all about him having like a lower floor than normal? Because we saw him have the dud game last week or 2 weeks ago, rather. So are you worried about Davante Adams in this kind of misfit Raiders offense?
No, not worried at all. The team sucks. We all know that. They're going to have a high draft pick. Mike McDaniel's doing this on purpose so they can land a solid QB. Probably end up being Will Levis and it'll be a bust. But touche. But looking at this season, Davante Adams, I think he's going to still have solid targets. I mean, he is, even when Mac Hollins was producing right alongside him, they were both getting like 10 targets a game. So he's a stud. You're going to be playing him. You have to play him. He's going to produce. I'm so confident. I mean, they're going to be behind a lot, so they're going to have to throw the ball a ton. So no worries when Darren Waller comes back. I think it's just going to open up the field even more for him for one-on-one matchups. So,
Camden
plays the Colts. I mean, there's nothing more to say than that.
Good. I mean, I have him on my redraft team, so respectfully, I don't know. Jeff Saturday does have him on his fantasy team. I'm just going to put that out there. So I don't know how it's going to go. Just putting it out there.
He's Davante Adams?
Yes. So could be interesting.
Listen, I don't care what anyone says. The Colts are trying to lose every game for the rest of the year.
You
don't hire Jeff Saturday and make a 30-year-old who's never called plays before. Shout out to younger people. But he's still, this dude's probably only called plays on Madden. So, I mean, there's a pretty big learning curve for two different of your most important positions, your head coach and your offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Colts are trying to lose. I don't care what anyone says. Honestly, they would do better if Matt Ryan became the offensive coordinator than whoever the crap's call plays on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. All I can think of is the Brian Windhorst meme where he goes, "Now, why is that?"
Oh, can we also talk about how on Twitter now, I almost got a couple times today. I open up Twitter, and first tweet, it's LeBron James saying he's officially requesting a trade with a check mark. I go to it. It's a real check mark. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Turns out anyone can buy a check mark nowadays.
It's bad.
Watch out. Don't get sacked is all I'm saying. There's a lot of people who are going to get sacked over the next year or so. You better watch out. Stephen A. better seriously watch himself big time. He did it. He got sacked without the check mark. Ooh, that man's going to be in trouble now.
No kidding.
Here's what I found.
Siri found Stephen A. getting sacked, I guess. Oh.
Going on with the losers.
Real story. This says Stephen A.'s father spanked him growing up.
I don't even know how that comes up.
I don't know either.
From week 9. Deonta Foreman. Deonta Foreman, 4.1 points. He only had 23 yards and 7 rushes. The week before that, he had 31.8. Big drop off. How are we going about Camden? Are you starting any of these guys in the Panthers backfield at all? Nothing.
Not if I don't have to. Honestly, I just feel like it's the Panthers. I don't know. Those big weeks, maybe I'm wrong on this, and this is just my gut feeling, and I'm wrong with my gut feeling sometimes. They just feel gross. I don't want anything to do with them. That's my gut feeling, but I know the 1 week he was a league winner or week winner or whatever, so.
He was. Yeah, he had a really good week. And it's not quite as gross as the Ravens backfield right now, but yeah, it's a little more difficult to figure out. I think it's going to depend on game script.
Kenyon Drake is a dog. You watch your Kenyon Drake disrespect.
It's right here. You never know. Then guess the bus will be back, and then he'll be having a good game, and then Mike Davis will have a 15.
Ray Rice sometimes has good games.
So, Caleb, are you feeling confident at all for Deonta Foreman or?
I feel like I start Deonta Foreman in all my leagues, typically as my RB2 or a flex, because I'm just at this point in the season with buys and injuries, you typically don't have better options. Last week was disappointing, but I'm still starting him. I mean, he was a loser last week, but he's out touching Chuba, so we'll give him the pass.
Yeah. Loser number 2, Devonta Smith, the Slim Reaper, 4.2 points. He had 2 receptions for 22 yards in that high-powered offense.
Also losers, us, because he tweeted he doesn't care about our fantasy team. So
True.
All of us are also losers who have him, myself included.
To be fair, there was another Eagle that said, "Don't draft me. I'm not going to be fantasy relevant," and then he's an RB1. So it's kind of hard to believe. Sanders. It's kind of hard to believe the Eagles.
Won't name names.
Still players. So
Miles Sanders.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Caleb, do you think this is a buy window opportunity? We'll go from a redraft lens. Are you looking to buy Devonta Smith if an owner's kind of disgruntled?
No. I mean, depends on what you're trading away. If you said, trading away like a Jerry Jeudy for Devonta Smith, sure, I'll shoot with the upside with the better offense, but you're probably gonna have to trade a little bit better of a piece than that. And I don't know. AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts, those are the boys to own, and Smith's gonna get the scraps.
So here's a question for you: if you have, we'll say, Khalil Herbert, would you trade Khalil Herbert for Devonta Smith?
I don't think the Smith owner would do that, but yes.
Okay, just checking. I just wanted to see where you're at with backup running backs, but Khalil Herbert is a running back 2 on the year. So just want to put that out there.
Are we talking redraft right now or dynasty?
I'm talking redraft.
Okay, I was going to say, that's
No, yeah, not dynasty.
Suspicious.
No, yeah.
That would get vetoed for 100%.
Yeah, veto's a tough subject right now in our league, so just want to bring that up.
Yeah. So we can talk about it after the show because we're kind of running late on time already. But yeah, no, it's just I feel bad for Mick. But anyway, last loser, Gabe Davis, 5.3 points, 2 receptions for 33 yards. Is he really a loser? I don't know. You're a loser if you have him on your team and you started him last week, I guess, because you probably chances are you didn't win unless you had Joe Mixon and Justin Fields. So that's just kind of how it is with the Gabe Davis train. Like, you draft him knowing he's gonna have that boomer bust. How are you guys feeling now that Josh Allen's got this injury? Does that make you worried? Because Gabe Davis is kind of a stretch the field type of guy, where you're hoping he gets that one big catch and runs for a touchdown. Cameron, if you're a Gabe Davis owner, are you looking to dump him?
I am a Gabe Davis owner, and no, because I don't think you can get enough back from him that's worth dumping him, if that makes sense. So I guess I'm just holding.
He's in the hold.
Should have dumped him after week 1 when he went crazy. That's when you should have dumped him. If you didn't dump him then,
should have dumped him after the playoffs in the offseason.
Yeah.
In your redraft league when you
should have had a trade worked out before going in. As soon as the trade deadline opened up, should have traded him for Amon-Ra St. Brown, straight up.
Oh, and you know what? That's a good point, because in Dynasty, I guarantee you could have done that trade, and boy, would that have made you feel so good at this point.
But it could have been the opposite way, because fantasy is unpredictable. So you could see Gabriel Davis going nuts and Amon-Ra St.
He became Randy
St.
Moss.
Brown has cooled down a lot after those first 2 weeks, where everyone was like going nuts. I still feel like he's widely considered an elite wide receiver, just despite the slowed down production. But interesting stuff.
All right, that is all the winners and losers from Week 9. We'll have another video coming back out here with our starts and sits of Week 10. Thank you for listening, and we will see you in the next video.